So why am I creating this video to basically diss the school system? I'm making this video because if you're truly on self-improvement, you cannot be relying on school to give you information and to make you smarter, to make you successful. That is never the case really when you see hyper successful people. They do not, pay attention in school and get all their work done, and that's why they're successful. It's still good to, do those things, right? To pay attention and to do your homework because at least for my personal experience, then that shows my parents, oh, okay, he's responsible enough to do this, so therefore he can do the other things, right? So having that balance out. But the thing is that you can't just be relying on your time in school to develop yourself at all. This is not sufficient enough for time. So let's say that you're getting home at 3 p.m. I think that's a fair time where normally we get back home. Now we add a couple of hours for, transportation, from getting around places, and then eating, right? Because that'll take about another 2 hours. Then if you have some other activities on top of that, let's add another 2 hours. So already you're at 7 p.m., okay? 7 p.m. if there's like no other thing left to do really. Then school gives you homework, okay? So they understand that you're already so busy. You're in school for 7 to 8 hours, including, going on the bus and things like that. You're in school for 7 to 8 hours, yet that's not enough for them to teach you stuff a day. So then they give you even more work on top of it, and the teachers don't even realize that you have all these other classes. They think that it's all just their class, so they pile up all this different work. So then that may take you something like another 2 hours, right? And for many people, it may be more. The issue could also come down to procrastination, right? So we put the time now at 10 p.m. Okay? Now, what other room do you have? And what incentive do you have, matter of fact, to learn more and to get better in other areas of your life? Now, it's good you already had that, 2 hour block for some activity. It could be a sport, it could be a club, something like that. But that's not enough if you really want to improve yourself. That 2 hour block is not going to do it. School is so broken in the sense that they want to consume all of your time. I don't make this video in a way to say that necessarily the school system is doing it wrong. Because honestly, they're doing it in a very smart way because the government understands that they cannot have every single person be rich, successful, famous, all of this, because then no one is going to be working for those kinds of people. So the government understands that they need to have a large working class so that the working class then can basically work for the rich and the famous. But if they're teaching all this, business in school, they're teaching how to think for yourself. They're not teaching you what to think, but they're teaching you how to think. And they're teaching you about discipline, and they're teaching you about what you should actually be doing on your own to be successful and to get smart and to, all these things. If they were teaching that, then every single person is going to follow their dreams and they're going to complete their dreams. They're going to reach whatever goal they set out to complete. And that is going to disrupt the economy completely, because again, you do not have the workers. Every single person is going to be so entrepreneurship minded that why would I work for someone, right? So in that sense, it makes sense why the school system is like this. It makes sense why they're not teaching us all the things that we truly need. Now, taking a couple steps back, in 8th grade for me personally, this is when quarantine hit. We got out of school for a couple weeks. And then once we got back in school, we didn't really have it that often. We had online classes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it was only 8 to 12. So with all this extra time on my hands, I was like, I had a lot of things that I was able to do. And number one, I played video games back then, so I played some video games. And of course, I played basketball. I was on a crazy grind back then, because I just had so much time. But I had so much time to the point where even after I did, video games, play basketball, did all that, I still had this extra time. So it was during that time where I was like, why don't I learn something new, right? And that's what I did. I started using YouTube as an outlet. and I started watching all these people talking about all these various things, and I would subscribe to different channels to teach me to and I'd basically subscribe to all these channels to teach me different things. And what that got me to the point of is I was learning more from myself, from my own education system, which is basically YouTube, and then, following up with articles and stuff like that. I was learning more myself and getting happier myself than what school was doing for me. And so I've continued this path. I've continued this pattern of seeking knowledge every single day when I get back from school. At some point, it doesn't have to be right after school because I do various things, but at some point during the day, I want to be learning something. And I can tell you for certainty that that is the reason why people are watching my videos. People are watching other videos who teach things. People are seeking this education because they realize that school is not teaching this. School is not how you get smart. Not at all. It's not even how you get successful necessarily. If you want to follow in the path of something where you need a degree, by all means go for it. And if that's the success to you, because success in some stances could be subjective, go for it. But for you, if you are on self-improvement, if you are trying to reach your full max potential, that's what it's all about. That's what self-improvement is all about. If that falls under what you are trying to do, then you are going to be in a mindset where you are going to be the leader. You are going to be the one setting out the goals and then conquering them. You probably should not be working for someone else. You could, but if you really want to max out your potential with, finances, income, personal time, with, doing what makes you happy, chances are you can't be working a 9 to 5 and be doing that, right? Because again, you're going to be trapped in that same trap that school puts you in, where you're limited in your time. Okay? So that's the first thing. School is just wasting your time straight up, just like that. But now let's go into the even crazier part, which is that school could be so much shorter. Not even in the year, but in the day. We look at places, I believe it was Finland and other, like the US does not compare that well to other countries in education, to the schools who actually have less hours in the day than us. Finland, going back to that, has 4-hour school days. I don't know if that's every single, I think they vary. They have 4 hours, then they have 3 hours, something like that. And yet they rank better in education because people's mental is right? People are able to think better. People are able to think better, and then as a result, they're able to, learn outside of school. They have the incentive to learn out of school because they're not so burnt out when they get back from it. Because I know right now, and because this is what happened with me, I would get back from school and I'd be so burnt out that I didn't want to do anything, right? I was spending my time after school to recover from that day of school. And then guess what? All the recovery that it just took, now I'm at nighttime and now I got to go to bed to basically just repeat it over. So if you're in that cycle where it's just go to school, then, chill so that you can recover from school, that's going to be living your life on repeat. No matter we have depression at such high rates right now. No wonder why so many people feel purposeless. It's because literally when school is the whole area of your foundation of life, when that's the main thing that you have going on in life, when that's your main thing, of course you are going to feel sad. Of course you're going to see all these cases of depression increasing. Because people, if their whole life is just seeing these grades, and if their grades aren't that good, oh, okay, then my life isn't good. Obviously, that's going to cause so many bad things. So, the whole thing with school right now is, because I was getting off topic for a second. Thing is that school could easily be 2 hours long a day compared to the 8 hours that they have right now. Matter of fact, 8 is probably 2 hours is probably more than you even need. You probably only need 1 hour. You probably only need 1 hour, because think about all the useless busy work that we are doing in school. For my biology class that I had last week, I'm doing biology, junior year of high school. Bio last week it just made no sense, because we had something that could easily be learned. When I went back from school, this is normally how I learn my subjects and I do very well in them. It's not because I pay attention in school. I pay attention in school, but that doesn't help me. That's not what separates me from other people who don't do as well in that subject. The thing that separates me is that then I'll just watch like a 5-minute YouTube video that explains it better than the whole class, an hour and 20 minutes, was able to do. So I watched this 5-minute video on biology about dehydration synthesis, and I learned everything that I need to know, and extra stuff too, in that 5 minutes. Yet, we have this whole class going through all these slides that are so like, they don't even relate to the thing of what we were talking about. Then we're doing like all these labs, which, okay, it's like, oh, it's gonna help people with visual learning. But you don't need to do, like, the way in which they do it, basically, because I don't want to go too in depth. The way in which they teach us is just time consuming and it's busy work. And then by the time I get back from school, guess what? Now I have a project where I have to make things all neat and colorful. I have to color everything so nice and pretty. Is that teaching me about anything in biology? Getting points off for not having something look pretty? I guarantee that's happened to you. I guarantee that's happened to you in school, right? You get points off because it's not neat enough. Who cares if it's not neat? School is supposed to teach us. School is supposed to teach us information, right? That's the idea. But if we're seeing points being taken off for, oh, it's not neat enough. Oh, you didn't add color to this. That's not teaching us. That's not teaching us. You know what it is? It's how can we occupy these students by taking up as much of their time as possible. That way we make them a worker eventually. If we teach them how to optimize their time, if we teach them, oh, you could actually do these things in such a shorter amount of time by doing this, this, and that. If the school were to teach us that, we'd break free from this whole workforce and we'd all be entrepreneurs. They know that we cannot do that. They know that we can't do it, and so that is why they made the education system in the way in how they made it. They made it to design us to basically just become a worker, to be a robot, to follow exactly what they say. And if you go outside of it, okay, you can. There's going to be a very few amount of people who do, though, because by the time you come out of school, by the time you are exhausted and all of this, you don't want to do additional work on top of it. You don't want to make a business because you are so exhausted. What you are going to want to do is chill on your phone, play video games, take a nap, something like that. So it's a very small amount of people and they can afford to have that. They want to have some entrepreneurs, right? You want to have some entrepreneurs, that way you can grow the economy. But these entrepreneurs, these people high in the government, right? You cannot have other people on their level. You cannot have too many people on their level because that's going to collapse the whole economy, okay? So in that regard, school can be done way more efficiently. You take away the busy work, you take away the projects, you take away the subject that's being taught, which honestly, I'm actually going to make this a long video. You already know this, so not worth me describing that to you. I have so much to say with this because I'll just give a few examples. We have that project, for example. I'm sure all of you guys have had these projects where it's like, this isn't teaching me it. In fact, it's taking away from my learning because in that time where I'm making this project, I'm thinking, how can I do this as easily as possible and as fast as possible, right? I'm not using this project to learn any more than I already know. What's actually going to teach me is doing what makes me learn the best. If that means that I need to be a visual learner, okay, figure out how to do that. That could be YouTube. If you need to hear stuff, go to YouTube. It literally, online is where you can learn everything. Online is where you can learn everything. I'm going to get more into that towards the end of the video. And that's going to be a very key segment on what you can actually do from this. But the whole thing is that literally everything can be learned through online, through the internet, through YouTube, stuff like that. Applying to how you as an individual learn. The school teaches us all the same. They make us think that, oh, if you're not, going by how this teacher teaches, then you're going to fail the class. Because this teacher may just teach visually, but then the people who need to hear this stuff or see examples, and you're just showing showing labs when they want to see, okay, how does this lab actually relate to it? If the teacher is showing one kind of type of learning, then the people who aren't adjusted to that type of learning, they're all going to fail, and then they're going to think that they're stupid. And when you think you are stupid, you're not going to want to try and amount to anything because you're thinking that you are going to fail. Okay? School puts us in that mentality. They make us think that we're stupid. They make us think that we are not going to amount to anything. They discourage us with these grades. They discourage us with so many various things so that we don't break the cycle. They waste our time. They waste our time intentionally. And it's not at the fault of the teachers. Matter of fact, a lot of the time, it's not even at the fault of the administrators. Some of the time it's the administrators, but a lot of the time, it's straight up just the government. The government makes them teach and not teach certain things. So don't be disrespectful to your teachers. That's a big takeaway, right? Don't be disrespectful to your teachers because they are trying to teach you the best that they can in the way, I mean, generally speaking, there's, some bad teachers. But the good teachers are trying to teach you in the best way that they can in the limited environment that they have to teach in. Because a lot of them are so restricted with what they can actually do curriculum-wise and method-wise and all of that. So respect your teachers. Big, takeaway. Just wanted to say that real quick. Now, the actual topics in which school is teaching you are also useless for a large proportion of the stuff that we are learning. For example, let me just think of some really useless things right now. If we're applying it to the individual standard, why is an athlete who's working out 3 hours a day after school, why do I have to go to gym class? Why do you have to go to gym class when you are already fit? That's just a wasted hour of the day because I'm going to be working out later in the day anyway, right? So it's a waste for me. Now, from an academic standpoint, you could say stuff that honestly, some of the math that we learn, it's not needed at all. Now, it's definitely good to know a decent amount of math, but it gets to a certain point where it's like, this is not going to help people in their career path. Now, if people want to work a 9 to 5, it's good as long as the teacher is teaching them how to use their skills to work that 9 to 5. But for a lot of people, if you're working in human resources, you don't need to know all this math. You need to know some. Once again, you need to know some. If you want to do marketing, you need to know some types of math, but not all of it, right? Why I'm saying this is I want you as an individual, because this is where you can actually make a change with this. You as an individual need to locate, okay, what do I want to do? What is my goal? What are my financial goals? What are my freedom goals? Do I want free time all the time? Do I want to be working on my own schedule? Am I willing to put in the work to actually get to work on my own schedule, right? That's the question you got to ask yourself, because like I've been saying, school is not going to change. The system is here to stay. They're going to, change some small things and be like, oh yeah, we changed a lot. And, people are going to be like, oh, it's better, it's better. It's not going to change that much to where it is at right now, or from where it is at right now. Okay? So it is up to you. You have to be the one to actually change. You have to be the one to say, all right, I'm actually interested in business. So the time after school, I'm going to be using that time to work on this business, or first to learn about business. And then as soon as I can, go right ahead and just start. But school is not going to help you with that. School is not going to aid in that process. You need to first identify what you want to do. And then from there, go ahead and learn about it on your own free time. It is all up to you at the end of the day. You can be your own teacher. There are so many available resources. The fact that you can easily watch my video already indicates that. And guess what? There's so many other channels who talk about so many other things. Whatever kind of niche you want to develop in, whatever kind of niche you want to get better in, you can do it. And it's all online. It is all online. In some way or another. Could be YouTube, could be articles, could be books. Whatever it may be, you have it available. School is not teaching you it. You need to seek it out for yourself. That's the message for this video. Thank you for watching. I'm out. Be well, be blessed. Peace.